Hello, welcome to Caring Connections. I'm Salley Gibney. You know, we all make caring connections all the time. One of the most special caring connections we make are caring connections with animals. You know, I think God gave us animals so that we could get that unconditional love that we all need. Today, my guests are going to share with us the most fabulous connection between horses and the participants of the Equine Therapy Program at Faith Hill Farm, right here in East Greenwich, Rhode Island.
Equine Assisted Growth and Learning Association. It's a unique model of therapy. It involves a mental health specialist, such as myself, an equine specialist, and our equine friends are the most important part. It's experiential, which means we are doing it here in the barn with the animals. We get out of the office. It is not a talk therapy, which is super helpful for many of our clients who just can't do verbal processing. It's really effective for people with PTSD, so military veterans, first responders. It's really effective for the treatment of depression and anxiety. The model is also used for equine-assisted learning, so for groups like this, we do team building activities, communication building. It's a broadly effective model. I actually have yet to find somebody who doesn't benefit from coming in here and working with the animals.
So I'd like to welcome you all here. Thank you for being here. Well, each one of you just share a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Sally, thank you for having us today. We really appreciate the opportunity to share about our many varied programs at my farm. My name is Pam Steer-Maloof. My husband and I own Faith Hill Farm in East Greenwich, and we have been, we've been there for 31 years, and
Wow.
Our property's adjacent to my family's farm as well. So we also have we use my family's farm as well, for all the therapy programs. And yeah, so it was just I had the most amazing experience growing up as a child riding at a barn in East Greenwich, and it was just, we used to ride all over East Greenwich, and it was just such a, again, just to
Wow.
reiterate, just the best childhood experience. So it was just, it made sense for us to buy this farm that was adjacent to our family's farm when we were engaged, and then to start similar programs, and then yet start more programs. So
It's amazing,
Yeah.
just amazing. And Dawn, tell us about you.
So I live right around the corner from Pam, and I have known Pam for over 20 years. I am a certified equine professional through EGALA, and I am almost certified through natural licensure. And I partner with Pam and the people from St. Mary's to bring equine therapy and healing to children and adults.
Oh, that's so neat. That's so neat. And you're so great. And Tracine, tell us about you.
I am a clinical supervisor at St. Mary's Home for Children, and I am certified in EGALA.
Wow.
And I am lucky enough to be able to go to Faith Hill Farm and work with Pam and Dawn in the equine therapy program.
And the children, or the people at St. Mary's, tell us a little bit about that.
So St. Mary's is located in North Providence, and we serve, despite our name, we serve children, teens, adults, and families. We offer office-based therapy, group therapy, community-based services, and most importantly, equine therapy.
Yeah, which is so very, very special.
Right.
And Marcia, share with us a little bit about you.
Thank you, and thank you also as well for having us. So, Marcia Ireland, I'm a grief counselor with Hope Health, Hospice and Palliative Care, and we serve families, children, adults in Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. I am able to counsel people one-on-one, and most importantly, we do offer grief support groups. Equine therapy is one of our most loved favorite groups.
Yeah, I mean the connection of the horses with people. I can personally attest to it, Pam. When I first moved to East Greenwich, I didn't know anyone. Lucky enough to meet Pam. Einstein said coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous, and he sent me to Pam. And those horses helped me get through a really difficult time. I didn't know anyone. And those horses just helped me feel like I had a connection, a very special connection. And so Pam, share with us about how this equine therapy, how this whole, well, first of all, tell us about all the animals you have at the farm.
Oh, we have a multitude of animals at the farm. You know, full-size horses, ponies, miniature horses, a pig named Poppleton, and he's the most handsome pig ever.
He is.
And we have 4 mini Nigerian goats. We have 5 mini donkeys. We'll be getting 3 more goats this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's a menagerie. Oh, and I can't forget about the cats and the dogs.
Well, of course, you don't forget about them.
Yeah.
They're all part of it.
Yeah, did I miss anybody?
No, we've got the puppies, the dogs, the goats, the pig, the horses,
Okay.
our whole menagerie.
So this is a community that comes together and gives so much to so many people. How did you first get involved in equine therapy?
Throughout the years, all the folks that would come to the farm, somebody doesn't hang a sign on them and say, I have anxiety, but I would have a feeling that they could be struggling with some different things. And then when the Igala program, I saw it at a big write-up in one of very popular horse magazine that I get. And then I started to read about it and research it, and went for my certification in it. So I'm also an equine specialist certified through Igala, which is Equine Assisted Growth and Learning Association. So it's a combination of equine assisted learning and equine assisted psychotherapy. And it's a team approach, and the team consists of a mental health professional and equine specialists like Dawn and myself, and the horses or whatever animals we're using that day. So that's the team approach.
How do you see the horses participating in this? I mean, Dawn, what do you see with the participants in the program and the horses?
So the horses are, in my opinion, the horses are the biggest part of the team. They will come into Pam and I, our role as the equine specialist is to know intimately our horses and to know how they're relating with the client. So the client might come in and be having a rough day, and the horse that is normally very, very regulated might all of a sudden be really full of energy. So that tells us, hey, there's something going on with this particular client. So what we'll do is we'll talk to the clinician and say, you might want to take a look, because this usually quiet horse is not quiet today, so there might be something going on with that client. And then we turn it over to the therapist, who might say, is there something going on at home? And they can kind of delve in a little bit deeper that way.
Wow.
So the horse tells us what to look for.
Isn't that amazing?
It really is.
So, Justine, how do you see this happening?
Well, horses are prey animals, so they're always in survival mode. They're always looking around, very in tune to their environment. And the clients that we serve at St. Mary's Home for Children are victims of sexual abuse, human trafficking. They have experienced some trauma, so they're also very in tune to their environment. So I think that creates a very good partnership in working on healing. Horses are very sensitive, so that plays a big role. And like Dawn said, if I have a client that's experiencing some anxiety for the day or something like that, the horse is usually going to tell us when we go into
That is so amazing to me. Now, so then how do you, all right, you see that the horse is showing you something, so then how do you take it from there?
we might give the client an activity, like creating an obstacle course, and maybe making the start of the obstacle course the morning and the end of the obstacle course like tonight, and maybe having the client create barriers through the day, or something that happened, like any kind of idea that could give us a clue as to what might be going on. And that client might put some cones in the obstacle course, or some blocks, or something like that. And maybe they don't want to tell us what's happening, but they usually want to tell the horse. So,
And you can kind of pick up on that and take it from there.
yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Marcia, tell us about your experience.
Yeah, and I love that. I do. So from my experience, I think we serve, grieving individuals. They've had a loss, which that is, their trauma in their world. And I think for me, and I have noticed this, when we first get to Faith Hill Farm, you can feel that exhale just going through the gates and knowing, okay, right. Yes, I'm in a
safe.
Exactly, yes. I'm in a safe environment, and I'm able to either express my emotions outwardly, or, right, if you're keeping them a little in and close to yourself, that's okay. But the minutes the minis come in, baby goats, we've had many different scenarios recently, you can just feel the barrier drop.
Really?
Right, allowing that veil to kind of come down a little bit and be able to express in a safe place. So be vulnerable, and the animals allow whatever you need.
And they don't judge.
Exactly.
The animals are not judging us. They're just responding to whatever they're feeling.
And the backdrop, of course I'm partial, but the backdrop to the farm is just beautiful. Like, so, if the mini paddock and where the goats are, the backdrop are the apple orchards on the hills, and so we could see, now we have 2 baby deer there, but we could see the deer in the orchards, and then there's always a hawk involved.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Oftentimes just sitting up in a double oak tree, and just
So it's nature.
And birds
it's really
everywhere.
nature
Birds,
healing.
Yeah, and then the funny thing about East Greenwich is it used to be so rural, and now it's so populated, but we're still just one of the pieces that are, it's not developed. It's
Pretty
just
rural,
still farmland.
Yeah, which is really, it's wonderful. Dawn, what are you feeling about this?
As Pam was describing the backdrop to the farm, I was thinking that more often than not, when people come through the gate and they experience it for the first time, they'll say, I feel so peaceful here.
Yeah.
And that over and over and over again we hear that this place brings me peace. And I think that's what we're all missing right now, especially with the way the world is today, with what we've all been through with COVID. Peace is what's missing, peace and connection.
Yeah.
And the horses bring both of those things to us, peace and connection.
They do.
And that's what it's all about, is the connection, and especially the kids that we see through St. Mary's and the adults that have gone through trauma. That's where they connect most with the horses, the horse being the prey animal, and the people that have gone through trauma. They're in that same part of their brain, so they can connect with the horses on that same level. And a lot of the kids that we see are so traumatized that they don't even know how to have a normal relationship with a human being.
Right.
So if we start with the horses and show them this is what a healthy relationship feels like, then they can take that outside the farm and start to cultivate those real healthy relationships with humans.
Which is so and also the program has also been helping first responders. Pam, we were talking about that.
Yes, yeah. A colleague of mine and myself, we worked with this first responders group and essential workers. Yeah, so we had several sessions.
Especially during COVID. I mean, here everyone, the stress is just so overwhelming, and to have a place to come to, and because it's outdoors,
right,
and you have the horses,
right.
It was a safe place.
And those times
for
were
people
so
to come
unknown
to.
for all of us, and I can only imagine what those folks are going through. So the groups are great, and actually we were just before we started to film, Dawn and I were just talking about many of the folks that attended those particular groups and support groups were in pediatric hospice nurses, and we even, some actually ended up taking our minis to some clients right out, a terminally ill child right outside of Boston. So that connection was made through this group at the farm.
So you actually put the horses on the truck and
We did, yeah. They travel in the
Isn't that
trailer.
amazing?
Travel, yeah,
Oh,
and
my
our minis are
goodness.
Pet Partner certified. That's the highest certification you can get, and that's the certification that you need to go into nursing homes and hospitals and things like
So
that.
these little minis go everywhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
Up and down elevators, into hospital rooms, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
School gyms.
Yeah, school gyms, that's
Oh,
right.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
at St. Mary's.
That is absolute. When you think about, I mean, the gift that this is for so many people, that it's just, it's phenomenal. It's just a very, very special kind of an experience. Do you have any particular experience that you want to share that our audience might be able to connect with?
Oh, we've had so many in our arenas.
Really, we do.
I know. Now, when you set up the arena, just share with us how you do that. You put different things in the arena.
Well, so the clients that we bring to St. Mary's, I think people would be very surprised to hear how significant sexual abuse is. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they reach adulthood. So when
Oh my gosh.
So we're very thankful to have this program. We offer it as like wraparound services for our clients. So when we sign them up for equine therapy, they are very, very anxious, very nervous, not really sure what to expect. So when we get there, Pam and Dawn are so welcoming, and they give an amazing tour of the farm. And our clients get to meet all the animals, from the minis to the donkeys to goats. They love Wilson most of the time.
Is that the pig?
No, Wilson is the big shepherd.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, you mean big one?
Yeah.
I know who you mean. You know, I have, because I do show up at the farm in the morning, and I give my horses their little treats, apples and mints, depending on who they are. And I know they seem to be very welcoming to me, and I know it's the treats, but I like to think part of it is.
It's you.
But I have seen you, Tracine, with some of the children, and it's so, you just kind of walk with them, and you let them.
So a lot of these kids don't have any control in their life, so to be able to go to this farm and say, oh, this is what I want to work with the mini goats. Oh, I would really like to work with this horse. That's really important. So I think the tour that they get on their first session is makes that anxiety go down, and they recognize that they have a little control there. There's no rules. This is their time, their space, and it makes them feel very safe. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I've watched that. I've seen, in my travels there, but I've seen you with these children or youth, and it's just such a calming kind of a feeling that I kind of step back, because I just kind of watch you and the kids go by, and as they pass the horses and the other animals, it has to be, I imagine when they're leaving there, they hate to leave.
Oh, they do hate to leave. Yes. Yes, and it's time sensitive too. It's 10 sessions, so which is
now after the 10 sessions, can they have more sessions, or is that?
They don't get more sessions, but we do bring them back to visit Faith Hill Farm often, because they love being there. So.
Which is really great. So all of these services are provided through people who want to help, who want to participate, who want to be part of this. And I think in knowing all this, Marcia, with hospice now, it's such a, having, with my Bob, we had hospice for Bob, and I had been a hospice volunteer years ago, but it's so different when you're the participant rather than when you're involved as a volunteer or something like that. What do you see with your clients?
Yeah, what I see the most striking, and you certainly gave me the thoughts around it, is giving language to how you feel. I think that's hard, right? We think of grieving as only you're just sad. Right, that's it. And there's so much more to it than sadness. There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resentment, there could be guilt, there could be just a whole host of emotions. And so I think Pam has done an amazing job when we're doing the equine therapy, and in our group sessions, there's signs out, and to give language to how I'm feeling. right? And to
So
pointing
there are
out
signs, you mean there are signs
Yeah.
with these different feelings?
Yeah, there's, I don't know how many signs, Pam?
We have a lot of
Dozens.
Lots
lot
of
different-
signs.
A lot of different varying words.
Right.
I mean, one word is grief. It could be happiness. It could be
Right.
Trust.
Anger.
trust,
Anything, right, yes.
consequences.
right.
So
I mean,
these
it could
are
be-
there, and when you're doing the session,
Thankfulness, yeah.
these signs are there for people to. Do you find that? How does that work?
Well, I think for me, the most recent session was really telling in that you could feel it was palpable, right? The emotions for the group. We had about 4 or 5 new members. And so I think they were a little anxious and a little, right, apprehensive about sharing, and certainly it doesn't take much. Have a couple minis, you know, wandering around, and one particular mini had knocked over the sign that said depressed. And just purposely, right? So we had that conversation and talked about really what that meant and what does that mean to each individual. And they had an opportunity to give language, right? To say, yes, that makes sense, or guilt, or anger, or this is why I feel guilty. Well, really, and we get to explore on a deeper level some of those emotions.
Kind of opens that door.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of
Right.
a little crack
Yeah,
to
exactly.
kind of help you to
Exactly.
sort of face it, see it, feel it,
And talk
without
about it.
judgment. Without judgment.
Exactly, exactly. And I think just really, you know, being able to share with others, normalizing, right?
Yeah.
Normalizing, hey, you know what, I'm listening, and Sally, she said that. I can connect to that.
Yeah.
All the while, beautiful minis coming by and nudging and petting and right,
they do, don't they?
giving.
They
It's-
find their way
yeah.
around, and they kind of go to the
do.
person that really needs them, don't they?
Yes, yeah.
Which is really just,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's such an amazing opportunity for common ground in every way, shape, and form, which is what we need today.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
it's really something that, as I've always, that's one thing that I feel so strongly about, and this is an opportunity for us to come together with common ground, to feel different emotions, our grief, our love, our caring, even our anger, without judgment.
Sure, absolutely. And I think it opens up to being able to process that, right? For the you know, children at St. Mary's to have that opportunity to be able to have a space to just talk about it, right? That I think that's a
Justine, that has to
start.
be unbelievable to see these children who are facing these things that are so horrific for anyone, let alone a child.
Yeah, I think one of the sessions I remember most would be a little boy who created an obstacle course to bring the horse through, which went well. Then they were given the task of picking a time in his life and creating some barriers or whatever it was he was thinking about, and sharing that with the horse, sharing some moments about his life with the horse as he went through the obstacle course. So that part the client could not complete. So he was given a few other tasks, but anytime it came to sharing information about his life with the horse, he couldn't complete it. So after the session, we have time to process with clients, and when asked about that, the client said that his life was so horrific he did not want to tell the horse about that.
He didn't want to upset the horse.
Right. So I mean, that's like a really, even though it's sad, it's pretty powerful, and there's the start to healing, like for this child to be able to give language to those emotions and say, you know, this is what my life is
This
like.
is awful.
And that's a great starting point to healing. So these are the things that happen every session. There's like just something amazing.
I just have to say that I am so touched by each one of you and everything that you're doing and the difference that it's making, and this gift that Faith Hill Farm and the equine therapy program there, and each one of you are giving, are making such a difference in this world, and that's what we need today. It's beyond comprehension, and it's beyond, you know, I just think that
It takes a community, and then all of these folks add to our lives as well. So it's
Pam, I want you to share what you were saying before about the community. I think that how you feel about the community. We all know what this woman does, and she's not going to even listen to us. She's not going to let us tell anybody what's going on and what she does. But
so everyone knows the expression, it takes a village, but actually I altered that a little bit. It takes a community, and that's what we have at the farm. And we couldn't host any of these programs if it weren't for the community and everybody coming together, you know. So like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll send Dawn an email. So I'll just disturb her on text. And I'm like, hey, what about this idea? Or what about this? Or what about this? And Tracy,
so you
what
don't
about this?
get no rest for you, Dawn,
Yeah,
right?
so, anyway, so and then I do that with a bunch of other people that surround us. So anyway, it just takes the community to put all these things
It
together,
really
and that's what we
does.
truly have as a community.
Exactly, exactly. And thank you for giving us the community.
Oh my gosh, it's-
because it really, you know, if it weren't there, what would we do? Would each one of you just share? I think we're probably coming down to, yeah, we are coming down towards the end. Would each one of you just share your thoughts, your closing thoughts? Is what do you want to share with our audience to let them know just what this means to you and what it means to our community? We'll start with you, Marcia.
Yeah, I would love to start. I think for Hope Health, we're a large nonprofit, you know, hospice and palliative care organization, and unbelievable that Pam has welcomed us into the fold, into her community, and taken that large organization and breaking it down. And I think keeping it small and keeping that, you know, that a tight community, I think that has served us well. We started in January right before the pandemic, and still stuck with us through it all, through virtual equine therapy, if you can imagine. But it was amazingly successful, and it's touched many, I think,
you.
and continue.
Tracy?
What do I want to share? St. Mary's loves being partnered with Faith Hill Farm. Equine therapy is really important to us. We have lots of programs going on with equine therapy in our school and also in our community-based services. It is also a very expensive program, so even with insurance. So
anybody's participation is greatly appreciated.
Right. So we are thrilled to have this opportunity.
I'm so glad. Dawn?
I just want to let everybody know that the horses are there. The horses are there for everybody, and everybody can reach
I can
out
attest to
and-
that.
Yeah. We have all shapes, all sizes, and all personalities, and they're there, and they'll help you heal.
Pam?
On the side of one of the buildings that we can see from the arena, I saw these words in Connecticut on the side of a barn when driving by. The words are hope for peace. And then at the time that I saw those words, and then I put the same words up on one of my barns, I thought it was more like world peace, hope for peace. And then the more and I share this often with the folks here with us today, often I look at those words differently now. You know, there was one person there sharing about her grief and loss, and I saw that person, and I looked up and I saw those words on the side of the building, and it was really inner peace. So so hopefully that, you know, that if, you know, whomever visits us at the farm, you know, feels a little bit, you know, stronger, better, and has more inner peace.
Absolutely. Wow, this has been absolutely amazing. I love Faith Hill Farm, Equine Therapy, and all of you, and I thank you so much for being here, because you all are giving so much to our world and helping us bring together. And I'm getting the wrap it up sign, so that means it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us. I hope that you have gotten as much out of this as I have, and if you want, just check out the Equine Therapy Program at Faith Hill Farm, and also St. Mary's, and also the hospice. There's so much out there, there's so much good. We do come together on common ground, and until next time, keep making those caring connections. Bye.